All right, so we're going to talk about making decisions today. So let's do that. Let me share my screen. You can see my lovely PowerPoint. And if you have any questions or anything, feel free to use the chat box. So let's go ahead and start. So making decisions, that's my Bitmoji, LOL. So we're going to talk about making decisions and what that involves. So super quick. I don't know if you can use it on your phone, but if you are on your phone, try and see. There's a little toolbox up here that says annotate. When you click on that, you'll be able to draw, text, all that good stuff like I'm drawing right here. So, question, would you rather be super strong or be super fast? Or you can just type it in the chat box. You don't have to actually do it. Whoa! So would you rather be super strong or super fast? Huh? Okay.
Super strong.
Super strong. Okay, cool. All right, so we have one super strong, one super fast. I don't know which one I would like to be, actually. I like both of them. All right. Would you rather be in constant pain or be constantly vomiting?
Constant pain.
Constant pain. Okay, so I think we got 2 votes on constant pain. I agree. I can't do the vomiting. The vomiting for me just grosses me out a little bit. So, all right, last one. Would you rather pet a dinosaur or pet a dragon? Pet a dinosaur, okay, a dragon? Okay.
Dragon all day long.
Dragon all day long. Okay, cool. I mean, I get that. I personally would pet a dinosaur because I'm just a fanatic of dinosaurs, but to each his own. To each his own. All right, cool. So, those things were making decisions, right? So believe it or not, we make decisions every day. Every day you're making a decision, whether you're really thinking hard about it or not thinking hard about it, you know? Sometimes it's an easy decision. Sometimes it's not that easy. We have to actually think about it and go through all our resources and, you know, weigh out our outcomes and stuff. So are our decisions influenced by other people? Do you think the decisions we make are influenced by other people? It could probably be influenced by your parents, maybe your peers, but do you think when it's time for you to make a decision, if it is influenced by other people?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I agree. It is influenced by other people because we tend to care about what other people think, right? Or I know, for example, myself, when I was younger, I was eager to make sure I was doing the right thing so that my parents wouldn't get mad or feel like they did, you know, that I didn't do the right thing. Like I would always make a decision and think about them to make sure I was making the right decision. So if you want to share, that's cool. If not, I just want you to think about it. But if you want to share, you're more than welcome to. What is one of the most difficult decisions you had to make recently? So is there a difficult decision you might have had to make? I know a lot of you guys had to make a decision and a big one, whether you were going to go virtual or in person, right? Since March, when COVID hit, a lot of schools shut down. Almost every school shut down. So then y'all had to make a decision like, hey, are we going to go back to school or am I not going to go back to school, right? So I think that was a difficult decision a lot of you had to make because virtual is not easy, but being at actual school is not easy either, right? You know, being precautious, maybe wearing a mask and making sure you sanitize and wash your hands and all that good stuff. So I know for a fact that was probably a difficult decision almost every family had to make. If you have another one, you're more than welcome to share. If not, then just think about it and then just kind of think about that decision you had to make. But I know that was a big one for a lot of people.
A decision that I've had to make recently and throughout my life a lot is it's really hard, but to like save my money and stuff like that, that's really hard to make the decision to spend it or not.
Exactly.
Right now I've like $400-ish to where I've been saving it. So
nice. Okay, so yeah, so if you wouldn't have saved that money, you probably wouldn't have the amount you have, right? You probably would have a lot less. So yeah, that's a big decision too, is should I spend my money or should I save it, or what to do with it, right? So yeah, thank you. That was a good example. So what is the best way to go about making a decision? So a lot of people make decisions differently, okay? I probably come up with a decision different than you probably do, right? So there's different ways to come up with a decision. So making decisions, we're gonna break it down a little bit more. So there's simple decisions we make every day, right? A good example would be ice cream. Do you want an actual ice cream cone or do you want it on a popsicle, right? What kind of ice cream do you want? Do you want chocolate, vanilla? Do you want strawberry or fudge brownie, right? What kind of ice cream do you want? That's simple, that's easy. You can just make the decision like that, right? And a snap of fingers. Everyday decisions is more like how you said, Bobby, is should I spend my money on that or should I not? It's like that video game. Let's say there's a video game coming out that you really want. Should you spend your money on that video game or should you just kind of wait and not spend your money on it yet, right? And then you have major decisions. So this is like, hey, should I go to college after I graduate? Should I not go to college? Should I go to a 4-year institute? Should I go to a private institute, public institute? Should I go to a 2-year university, right? These are major decisions. Like this is gonna affect your life. Should I just go straight to work? What should I do? Those are major decisions that you actually have to sit down and maybe think about it a little bit harder and see what you wanna do. But the other thing too is thinking about the consequences, right? You always have to think about the consequences on your everyday decisions and your major decisions. Simple decisions are easy. The consequences are you don't like the ice cream cone, oh well, you know not to get it next time. Everyday decisions and major decisions are things that you really have to think about a little bit more because they impact your life, right? All right, so there's a skill to this, making decisions. It's called the 3 C's of decision making. You have to clarify the decision that has to be made. You have to consider your alternatives, and you have to choose the best alternative for you. So, quick example, movies, okay? Our decision, should we watch movie A, which is a horror movie, or should we watch movie B, which is an action movie, right? So you consider your alternatives. Am I feeling more of an action movie, or am I feeling more of being spooked out because it's close to Halloween? So you got to consider your alternatives and your consequences. So if you go watch the horror movie, you might be up all night, right? You might get scared. You might be up all night. You might be thinking about it. Or you might enjoy it. Or if you go to the action movie, you might feel like you missed out on the horror movie, right? And everybody watched it besides you. So then you got to choose what's the best for you. Do you want to watch the horror movie and be spooked out and you love it and it's fine and that's okay? Or do you want to watch the action movie and just be content with whatever you picked? So you have to think, you have to clarify what your decision is to make, you have to consider it, and then you have to choose what's best for you. So let's talk about group pressure and decision making. So to what extent do you think your decisions are influenced by other people? Do you think it's to a great extent, or do you think they just affect you very little?
Probably about a 6 of a 10.
Okay, so a 6 of a 10. So for some of us, they may affect us greatly. For some of us, they might not, right? So sometimes I know I overthink everything. So for me, my decision is influenced greatly by other people because I want to make sure I'm pleasing everybody, right? But for some people, it might be like, hey, I just want to please myself. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm going to choose what I want to choose because it makes me happy, which is a great way to go about it as well. So your decisions may be influenced by other people. So pressure from the group, which you belong to, often influence your decisions. So, okay, yeah, awesome. That's you. Yes. So yeah, so pressure from a group, like if you have a group of friends and you want to, you're all just becoming friends. I know in elementary school, I don't know why I remember this, but I remember I wanted friends so bad that, I would just do what the other people were doing to make friends, right? But then as I got older, I was like, that's silly. I need to do what I want to do. So yeah, so pressure from a group might influence your decisions on what you do. So has this happened to you? Has there been a situation where you made a decision, where you made a decision to go along with a group as a result of group pressure? So everybody else was doing it. So you're like, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. Has this ever happened to you? Okay, and it might be a bad group too. Yeah, it might not be such a great group, right? It might be a bad group, and yeah, you might fall into it. So yeah, probably. So yeah, I know this has happened to me as well. So a good one. Oop,
Yes.
Bobby, you're cutting off a little bit on me.
Me.
You were cutting off. I heard the last part, and then you were cutting off the rest of it.
Sorry.
Oh, now I hear you.
I was just gonna say this has happened to me before with several different, like, my cousins. I think highly of them, so they have an influence on me, and sometimes they're not the best people to be hanging around with.
Right.
So, I mean.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. Especially with family. I love family, and I think highly of my family as well. But yeah, sometimes maybe your family's not doesn't have the best decision-making skills, and but you're a family and you feel like, hey, they're doing it, maybe I should do it too. But sometimes we have enough willpower within ourselves to be like, hey, that's not right, I'm not going to do it, right? So yeah, I agree. So I know a lot of this happened in school whenever I wasn't. Oh, I'm going to get to that later, actually, this example, because I love this example and it's going to be mentioned later on. Okay, so moving on. What are some reasons for why people are influenced so much by other people? Why do you think people follow other people? Like, is there a particular reason? There's a lot of reasons.
There's one that I think might be in particular. Because they might not know how to make the decision themselves.
Okay.
So they're like, hey, what did you choose? You know?
Right.
Like on a quiz, if you don't know the answer,
yes,
you're going to get help from the teacher because you don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That is a perfect example. So yes. You are on point. So yeah, some reasons are people don't want to be the outcast, right? They want to be friends with the in crowd. They do things to think they're cool or fun. Not sure what the right answer is. So this is kind of where you're going at, Bobby. So yeah, a lot of this happens in school. I know when y'all were in school in the classroom and you had to raise your hand if you thought the answer was A, B, C, or D, like the teacher would call out, if you think it's answer A, raise your hand. So of course, if you don't know the answer and everybody's raising their hand for letter A, you're going to raise your hand too because everybody else is doing it, right? And that's where your decision-making skills go in, because it's like, even though they're wrong and you're right, you probably will still fall into raising your hand with them because everybody else is doing it. But sometimes you may just not know the answer, so you're like, you know what, I'm just going to go with everybody else because I don't know what the answer is. So yes, Bobby, this is where you were hinting. So, point of story. Making decisions is hard, but remember what we learned today and apply it next time you have to make a decision. So whenever you have to make an important decision, remember what we talked about, and remember the 3 C's that I mentioned. So clarify, consider, and choose before you make a decision, and always choose what's right for you. Don't choose because everybody else is doing it, but choose what is right for you. Cool. So that's all I had for today. Oh, let me stop the recording.